Just talk to us about how Silvergate first of all got into servicing these sorts of clients.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. And I think it might be helpful to back up for a second, sort of explain sort of the value proposition here for a bank. For banks that aren't dealing with crypto, they're not helping to exchange tokens or anything like that. They're literally just holding deposits for crypto customers and helping them to send them back and forth, right, between themselves. The value there is that you can bring these deposits onto your balance sheet and you do not have to pay out interest, right? So you essentially have a very affordable way to fund yourself. And that's sort of what drew a company like Silvergate into this. And other banks have done it as well, Customers Bank or Signature Bank. But obviously, a few of them have had banking relationships with FTX and Alameda that has folks raising concerns. Short sellers are kind of dogpiling the stock.
Yeah.
Then you have lawmakers who are asking questions, and it's a result of these relationships.
From your early reporting and digging around, just how exposed has Silvergate become? What sort of areas within the financial services they offered made it more difficult to extricate themselves now?
Yeah, I think the biggest level of exposure is just the deposits they held on their balance sheet. Silvergate has said that they did not lend to FTX. They made it very clear that their only relationship with FTX and related entities, including Alameda Research, the hedge fund, was a deposit relationship. And so if you have a deposit with Silvergate, you can send money to other clients who also have those deposits on a platform they call the SEN, the Silvergate Exchange Network. And what our reporting indicated was that customers had been directed to buy FTX to send money to Alameda Research. And that was to, in at least one case, a Silvergate bank account. And that has raised concerns and questions from lawmakers. Our reporting doesn't go any further in saying sort of how that tied into the kind of commingling of funds and so on that have been alleged when it comes to FTX and Alameda. But it does mean that Silvergate is part of these really difficult questions being raised by lawmakers,
Yes.
by regulators, by investors. How did no one spot this, right?
You raised a good point, Max, about the short interest on the stock in that it's publicly traded, right? It almost has its own rise and fall story. I was looking at my Bloomberg to the end of 2021 when the stock was above $200 a share. Now we're down at $21 a share. I mean, what was the investor anxiety here for Silvergate? It was just their exposure to the contagion.
So what would be helpful to do is to zoom out, right? Because around this time last year, we were talking about digital assets being at all-time highs, and that's when the stock hit $222, just about that period. But over the last year, we've had more events than just FTX. We've had the blow up of the Terra Luna ecosystem, which in turn led to the collapse of Three Arrows Capital, the collapse of Celsius. So publicly traded stocks with exposure to crypto, that's Silvergate, that's other companies, that's names like MicroStrategy, which literally just hold Bitcoin on the balance sheet. All of those companies have taken a beating in the last year because of this anxiety, and just the blow up of FTX sort of accelerated and worsened that impact, I would say.